Even as the G20 Summit begins in New Delhi, most of the world leaders have arrived in New Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi held 3 bilaterals on Friday evening with the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, with the leader from Mauritius, and of course, the big bilateral between India and the United States, between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Biden. A longest statement of 29 points was released by the White House immediately after the bilateral ended, which stated a lot of progress in the strategic partnership between India and the United States. But the big talking point has been the G20 and building some kind of a consensus. The big question certainly is that will there be a final declaration, a New Delhi declaration, a communique that will be launched here, and will there be a consensus on the same? Already we know that 2 countries, Russia and China, will not be attending in the form of the head of the states, but have sent representatives from respective countries, perhaps because of the building conflict between Russia and Ukraine. On the other side, United States, Canada and Germany will be perhaps raising the issue of Ukraine at the summit itself. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi at Bali last year had maintained that this is not an era of war, and India therefore would want a peaceful solution to this conflict and some kind of a consensus emerging. We will be bringing you all the updates from here at the G20 venue at Bharat Mandapam. This is Aditya Raj Kaul reporting from the G20 venue along with video journalist Manish Srivastav and Anthony Rosario. We are at the epicenter of the G20 in New Delhi. In a few minutes from now, the G20 Summit will be beginning right behind me at the Bharat Mandapam. You can see right here the main venue of the G20 Summit, where the 20 leaders would be arriving, and of course 9 special invitees. Bharat Mandapam was inaugurated by the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, on July 26 and has been an inspiration from the Anupam Mandapam of Lord Vishweshwara. And of course, we will see 2 important sessions today, One Earth and One Family, taking place between the G20 leaders. Apart from that, 3 crucial bilaterals also taking place today with the Prime Minister of UK and of course Prime Ministers of Italy and Japan as well through the day. There were 3 bilaterals that had taken place yesterday as well with US, Mauritius and Bangladesh. We also know through our sources in the Ministry of External Affairs that at about 5 p.m. there will be 2 crucial multilaterals that will also take place on the sidelines of the G20. One of those is being spoken about on connectivity between Saudi Arabia, UAE, India, of course, talking about how connectivity of railways takes place in the Middle East, and then through shipment routes, the same connectivity then travels to India between USA, Saudi Arabia, UAE and India. Of course, a big talking point has been the Ukraine-Russia crisis as well, and that is something US, Germany and several other countries are likely to raise during the G20 as well. It's important to also mention that Russia and China have already decided to not send their heads of states for this G20, but will be represented by senior ministers from respective governments. Already there's been a lineup of G20 leaders in New Delhi who will be holding these bilaterals through the day today and tomorrow. And tomorrow is the day after the last session that finally we'll see a New Delhi declaration, a communique, but we'll have to wait and watch how that really transpires. Last time around in Bali, Prime Minister Modi had spoken about how this is not an era of war. Will that be something that would be reflected in this statement as well, is something that needs to be seen. We'll be bringing you all the live updates from Bharat Mandapam for now. With video journalist Manish Kumar Srivastav and Anthony, this is Aditya Raj Kaul reporting from Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi. G20 Summit has officially begun in New Delhi under the India's presidency. Over the last 1 year, we've seen over 200 meetings taking place in more than 60 cities, where India brought in the people's presidency element for the first time, where there was common people's participation in all these events that were taking place. We are reporting currently from the Bharat Mandapam at the International Media Center, and the first session has been underway, and the second session would be taking place today afternoon on One Earth and One Family. There will be discussions on climate change and several other global challenges as well. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as the president of the G20, made the initial introductory remarks, where he, of course, sent condolences to Morocco, where a massive earthquake had taken place, and also in solidarity pledged India's support to Morocco. Apart from that, he spoke about the inclusivity element and how we need to, at G20, have a human-centric approach as well. Prime Minister Narendra Modi personally welcomed the African Union for the first time as permanent members of the G20 on display at the Bharat Mandapam. Apart from these, multilaterals will also take place, and there will be key bilaterals that Prime Minister Modi will be part of. He will be meeting the Prime Ministers of UK, Japan and Italy all through the day today, and there will be two key multilaterals. Right behind me, you can see the International Media Centre, where there are continuous live reportage taking place all across the globe. There are hundreds of media delegates that have come in from all across the globe. We'll keep you updated on the latest from the G20 here from Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi. Reporting from the Bharat Mandapam with video journalists Govind and Suraj, this is Aditya Raj Kaur.